resized like this. Huh. I do not know. I guess we finished section 3. We finished certainty as to equality. Welcome to the 87th episode of the Henry George Daily Devotional. We continue with section 4, as to equality. This would be one of the canons of taxation, so a sort of goal for a just tax to meet. And so we are evaluating the land value tax. Henry George writes in 1879, Adam Smith's canon is, Adam Smith wrote, wealth of nations, the father of modern economics, or political economy. He wrote, the subjects of every state ought to contribute toward the support of the government as nearly as possible in proportion to their respective abilities. That is, in proportion to the revenue which they respectively enjoy under the protection of the state. Every tax, he goes on to say, which falls only upon rent, or only upon wages, or only upon interest, is necessarily unequal. In accordance with this is the common idea which our systems of taxing everything vainly attempt to carry out, that everyone should pay taxes in proportion to his means or in proportion to his income. But waiving all the insuperable practical difficulties, insuperable meaning difficult or difficult of a difficulty or obstacle impossible to overcome, in the way of taxing everyone according to his means, it is evident that justice cannot be thus attained. Here, for instance, are two men of equal means. Yes, I'm not sure if having equal means means just equal income, or they also have the same amount of wealth amassed, or equal incomes, one having a large family, the other having no one to support but himself. Upon these two men indirect taxes fall very unequally, as the one cannot avoid the taxes on the food, clothing, etc., consumed by his family, while the other need pay only upon the necessaries consumed by himself. But supposing taxes levied directly so that each pays the same amount, still there is injustice. The income of the one is charged with the support of 6, 8, or 10 persons, the income of the other with that of but a single person. And unless the Malthusian doctrine be carried to the extent of regarding the rearing of a new citizen as an injury to the state, Malthus being our favorite overpopulation theory to bash. So if we do not admit, subscribe to Malthusian doctrine, there is a gross injustice that the person who's supporting a family of 6, 8, or 10 has to pay as much as the person who's supporting but himself. But it may be said that this is a difficulty which cannot be got over, that it is nature herself that brings human beings helpless into the world and devolves their support upon the parents, providing in compensation therefor her own sweet and great rewards. Very well then, let us turn to nature and read the mandates of justice in her law. Nature gives to labor, and to labor alone. In a very Garden of Eden, a man would starve but for human exertion. Now here are two men of equal incomes, that of the one derived from the exertion of his labor, that of the other from the rent of land. Is it just that they should equally contribute to the expenses of the state? Evidently not. The income of the one represents wealth he creates and adds to the general wealth of the state. The income of the other represents merely wealth that he takes from the general stock, returning nothing. The right of the one to the employment of his income rests on the warrant of nature, which returns wealth to labor. The right of the other to the enjoyment of his income is a mere fictitious right, the other here being the land rent collector. Okay, it's a short one. The creation of municipal regulation, which is unknown and unrecognized by nature. Oh, yes, his income is from the creation of municipal regulation, uh, which is unknown and unrecognized by nature. Yes, a title deed. The father who is told that from his labor he must support his children must acquiesce, for such is the natural decree. But he may justly demand that from the income gained by his labor not one penny shall be taken, so long as a penny remains of incomes which are gained by a monopoly of the natural opportunities which nature offers impartially to all, and in which his children have as their birthright an equal share. Yeah. And the thought that comes to mind for me, uh, you know, one well-to-do man or woman might have own a one bed or two bedroom apartment with a, bathroom, kitchen, a couple rooms, dining room. And a family would own, maybe a three bedroom, two bath house or something. Slightly bigger, but definitely not if you have like two or three kids. It's still not going to be, you know, five times bigger. So in some sense, while a family does, you know, take up more land in general than an individual, there are efficiencies with family living. Two adults typically share one bed, and so they take less from uh, the commons than if the two people stayed separate, generally speaking. Adam Smith speaks of incomes as enjoyed under the protection of the state, and this is the ground upon which the equal taxation of all species of property is commonly insisted upon, that it is equally protected by the state, that it is equally protected by the state. The basis of this idea is evidently that the enjoyment of property is made possible by the state, that there is value created and maintained by the community, which is justly called upon to meet community expenses. Now, of what values is this true? Only of the value of land. This is a value that does not arise until a community is formed. And unlike other values, it grows with the growth of the community. It exists only as the community exists. Scatter again the largest community, and land, now so valuable, would have no value at all. With every increase of population, the value of land rises. With every decrease, it falls. This is true of nothing else, save of things which, like the ownership of land, are in their nature monopolies. I don't know if he's going to give any examples right now, but I don't. I don't think he's. I'm not sure when he's talked of land-like resources, assets, but you would say like rivers, oceans, um, airspace, essentially, electromagnetic spectrum, um, and uh, like resource minerals and things found in the earth are similar. They're a little bit different. Um, like if you find oil and you extract the oil, um, I mean, it's different than just simple land because it gets consumed. But it's still, uh, if you happen to be the only person who owns the land on which there's oil, you get just sort of, you have a natural monopoly over oil, and that doesn't seem just. Not to me, not to George. The tax upon land values is therefore the most just and equal of all taxes. It falls only upon those who receive from society a peculiar and valuable benefit, and upon them in proportion to the benefit they receive. It is the taking by the community for the use of the community of that value which is the creation of community. It is the application of the common property to common uses. Yes. Yes. When all rent is taken by taxation for the needs of the community, then will the equality ordained by nature be attained. No citizen will have an advantage over any other citizen, save as is given by his industry, skill, and intelligence, and each will obtain what he fairly earns. Then, but not till then, will labor get its full reward, and capital its natural return. Yeah, there's there's sometimes this sense in which, like, people sometimes think that if everyone just sort of gets, I don't know, if you implement something like a meritocracy or something, that people with the good genes will just get the best stuff. Um, but I prefer, I don't know if it's a preference thing, but when I just look at, when labor is done, here's what I'm getting at. Somehow, whether or not you think hard work is determined by genes, it doesn't match up with my intuition is somebody works hard or works period. It just feels so intuitively just that they deserve what they work for. Like whenever I see like an athlete achieve a goal, especially like in more like we have the Olympics coming up. If it's like in a you know track and field event or something, not head-to-head competition, and they lift something super heavy or they run super fast, it's like the highest compliment is like how much they worked for it. I mean, clearly those people also have a lot of genetic advantages. Anyway, I'm just saying my intuition is that labor is mostly a result of a like choice of from your own will, free will, or not free, who knows, but it is mostly a choice made by an individual to work hard, to do the thing, to exert themselves. It is it's not simply just a reward to the genetic lottery. Although I know some people will argue that the genetic lottery probably is what determines whether you work hard or if you're lazy. And I don't have a very good scientific argument against that, but I would challenge them to provide one for that. And it just doesn't match up with my own sort of moral intuition that labor should get its full reward and that labor is available to anybody who wants it, so to speak. Or it should be available to anybody who wants to labor, and then it's not. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. So I will stop. All right. I'll see you next time for Chapter 4, Endorsements and Objections. Bye-bye. Alright, as to equality. The land the LVT is the most equal tax. Actually, we'll say it's the only equal tax. Section 4 as to equality. Labor, the produce of labor should be the full reward of the laborer. The wealth of the value of land is created by the community and should go to the community. So the taxation of land value which is the collection of wealth for the use of the community is justice. 87, that is correct. I got a new episode. HEDD 87, book 8, chapter 3.4. The least bad tax. Thing is, I don't think of the LVT as a bad tax at all. It is not the least bad tax, because it is not a bad tax. It is the one good tax. Yeah, sometimes I just get distracted. Forget what I'm doing. Title. Description. Thumbnail. No. No. And our tags. Our video language. Cherokee. Cerritos. I did it. Alright, I'll see you